Back in the 70s.
All right, Tallahassee area, North Florida area. Really, just if you live along the stretch to I-10, happy Thanksgiving and welcome to another edition of the Xtra Point. I'm Mark Adams and I'm here with my tag team partners, as always, Coach Cofield and Andrew Jupe. Guys, it is the precipice of Turkey Day, one of my favorite eating holidays of the year. Right? I'd probably say it's above Halloween.
Really?
Christmas is right there. But slightly above Halloween, ranked number one.
I don't see it.
What's your favorite eating holiday of the year?
Christmas. Halloween not even on the board.
Wow. You're gonna have a hard time in my house because we still got candy left over.
It's an aggravation. That's all I got to say.
Is it the kids ringing your doorbell?
Oh man, I take the light bulb off of my porch. Don't make no mistake. And I never did like it as a kid. I didn't like it.
You must have had your candy stolen.
No, my parents didn't. We didn't celebrate that holiday, so
got you.
We didn't. I can get my own candy, go to school the next day, and take everybody else's.
Save yourself a couple hours, right, Coach?
Hey, instead of walking the street, everybody talking about what they did last night. I'm like, I've never been trick or treating in my life.
If you had a, what's your second favorite eating holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Okay, so top two.
I mean, what else is there? I don't look at Halloween as an eating holiday. It's just something where people go around aggravating everybody, trying to get their candy. It's a
note to all the kids in Coach Cofield neighborhood: do not stop trick-or-treating.
They already know. I used to have a neighbor long time ago. She would sit on the porch. She loved Halloween. So I guess she said he don't like it. So she sent me a bag of candy to the house. I don't know why. She loved it. She'd be sitting. She'd be waiting on the kids to give them candy. I said they already got issues. You don't need to give them. You want to make them mad? Put a bottle of water outside.
Yeah. Give them an apple.
They be throwing stuff at your house, cracking your windows.
This lady in my neighborhood, she left out celery.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
True story.
That stuff will still be out there the next day.
I think the squirrels ate it or something like that.
That's trick or treat for them.
Yeah, you might as well, if you're going to do celery or vegetables, you might as well do nothing. Or either that or just skip the middleman and put some eggs out at the bottom of the driveway. I think either way is going the same route.
It's the thought that counts. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into some college football business. We're on the brink of Florida State, Florida, coming up this week. And, of course, the Rattlers took care of business in Orlando last week. They got another kind of bonus makeup game coming up with Alabama State. Not really sure how that factors into anything as Jackson State already won the SWAC East.
Don't disrespect them. Alabama A&M.
Alabama A&M, excuse me. But yeah, there's going to be some more football here left to be played, at least in Tallahassee on the college football level. But SEC versus ACC this week got quite a few games. I don't know that anything is. I think the only real team out of the ACC that has national title hopes outside of Miami is Clemson. They're still one spot away on the outside of the playoffs. Still needing some help. They take on South Carolina. Of course, there's the battle for I think they call it the Commonwealth Cup between Kentucky and Louisville. And then we got Georgia Tech, Florida State. Man, I remember when this game Like it was everything back in the late 90s, and now I don't know where we are in this college football wasteland. I don't know what happened. I feel like they broke it. So
Mark, it's always been that way. They go all the way back to the 50s where the government had to force the game, and so it became bigger than most states have a game like that. And you disrespected the ACC. I just want to let you know SMU is leading the ACC, so don't say the
oh
only
yeah, that's
team
right. That's
is
right. I really
Miami
did.
and Clemson. I'm like, that's the first place team. You missed them.
I
But
really did. It's
I mean,
hard to
you
think.
just
It doesn't feel right. SMU and the ACC, that does not roll off the tongue.
well look like they headed to me. They probably the best team in the ACC. I know people would argue Miami, but SMU been very consistent. They beat everybody they had to beat. They undefeated in the conference play, and they look like the best team. Miami, you don't know what you're gonna get with them every week is something. They play down to the competition. They always getting behind and trying to catch up. You can't keep doing that. You gotta take care of business when the game starts. But I think SMU gonna win the whole thing. Clemson luck they just in the playoff hunt. They're not gonna win the conference. They're not winning the conference.
They're just
Well,
happy to be at the table, coach. That's all they want. But
If you
it's not
if
it's not looking good for those teams on the Atlantic though. I don't
it's
see a lot of dubs on the right side of that column there.
hey,
no, not at
at
all.
the beginning of the season they had a bunch of teams ranked. I mean that was supposed to be, the toughest conference, one of the tough conferences. But Florida State let them down. Losing to Georgia Tech and then Boston College. Yeah, that don't excite the country about games being played, and they don't get much love in the rankings neither. And those are coaches in the playoff rankings, so they say they go off of what they see, and some of the teams they put up there, it's a lot of bias. But that's what happens when you have men, human beings, selecting. You know, I'll still watch it. I'll still watch it.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into round number 2. Last week, ah, it was rough. It was really rough around the area. Man, a lot of our favorite teams made some early exits. And I think we lost 2/3 of the North Florida area here in that second round. It was just kind of critical. Some teams came closer than others, and then we had quite a few blowouts. But let's go ahead and jump into it. McClay falls to Trinity Christian out of Jacksonville, 21-28. And at some point in this game, I think somewhere in the third quarter, Marauders actually were leading and gave up 2 late touchdowns, and that just kind of sealed their fate. Great season by McClay football. Definitely had their opportunities there, but just couldn't quite close the door against a really experienced Trinity Christian team.
Yeah, man. Trinity normally is a tough team, and it's not an easy place to play a game. The coaching staff is, they've been around a minute, and they've seen pretty much everything. And them beating McClay was not a surprise. What was a surprise was how close the game was. But the Marauders, you could tell during the season they were a pretty good team. They had a little slip ups every now and then, but they gave the best they did. Losing only by 7, you can't be disappointed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they were kind of my upset special of the week, and I thought they had a good chance at it, and they were holding the line late, and that's what you want to do. A team that's obviously the underdog, you go on the road. They started fast, they hang tough, they had the lead in the fourth, and they gave themselves a chance. Trinity really got it going down the stretch, and kind of really jumped it into the next gear, which a team that you would expect to do at home with the pedigree that they have to do. So it's kind of one of those situations you got to get up 2 or 3 scores in the fourth in order to kind of count for that bounce back. But absolutely fantastically done by McClay. And it gets you because if they were able to pull off the upset, because of the top half of the bracket, with University Christian being Providence again, Maclay would have hosted the regional final.
Wow.
A chance to go to the Final Four playing at your own house for Maclay would have been massive. But yeah, like y'all said, it was a tough round for us here, and Maclay, one of the bigger tough ones.
Yeah, just tough to know that they were this close. It's just looking at the way that team was built and really the talent level. They really had Trinity Christian on the ropes late in the third until they just weren't able to close the door in the fourth quarter. And that just kind of doomed the Marauders' hopes as they fall 21-28 on the road to Trinity Christian. But a great season by Maclay nonetheless. Great run by Coach Coley and his crew. And we'll see. The Marauders got a lot of youth still on that roster that'll have the chance to come back. And we'll see what the 2025 edition looks like. Moving on around the area, Class 2A, Gaston County, Florida High hooked up, and it was all Jags all the time. 42-11 is the exact same score that was the same exact score outcome from the regular season matchup. And the Jaguars just, I guess they just went back and read the script and said, hey, we got this. So, but Gaston County looked absolutely in control in that game. Again, one big play after the other to just kind of showcase the talent level and how they can really hit you from any point across the field as Gaston County moves on to the third round with a big resounding victory over Florida High, who had a very talented defensive line, by the way, 42-11.
Yeah, I think Andrew should be the one to talk about this because the familiar voice was going. I was like, wait, I know that guy. And, but it was they just took over. They were just too much for Florida. And Mr. Jupe, what's up?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty wild that they had the exact same score, but it seemed completely inverse of the last game. It was close all the way around throughout. But here, Gaston jumped on it early and often. They were rolling. You know about battles and everybody in the run game, the offensive line, they were doing their thing. Jeremiah Thomas got loose again. So that was the big play strikes. He had a couple long touchdowns down in Southwood in the second half. He got it going early. Him and Doherty were able to link up, but Thomas was wreaking havoc in the secondary for Florida High. And then on the other side, you could tell how much Gadsden adjusted the game plan because they were jumping all the routes. So they had it over the top so to prevent any big plays, and they were jumping all of those short routes this time, which led to one of the pick sixes, or the pick six, excuse me. They're late kind of down the stretch, which really kind of sealed the deal for them. But just a strong effort, and Gadsden is really it's tough to see them kind of level up based on what we've seen this season, but it feels like they're a little bit of a different animal here in the playoffs. And that's the thing. Everybody's got to go through Havana in 2A as long as they keep churning, which you got to love. And it's a shame that the crowd wasn't as big as it usually is out in Gadsden because, you know, the Classic was down in Orlando this weekend. But I can expect a big homecoming for Thanksgiving, and I think that place is going to be rocking this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely anticipate that too. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Let's breeze through some other games here. Walton takes it on the chin against Bowles, 35-0, and that was just Bulldogs are just one of those teams, and they'll link up against Gadsden County this Friday out in Havana, but that closes the door on the Walton Braves 2024 season as they lose in a shutout, 35-0. Godby just got edged again in the fourth quarter against Bishop Kenny, 36-26. And for the Cougars, really, just weren't able to kind of put things together here in the fourth quarter as the Bishop Kenny Knights come back and complete the comeback, 36-26. And really great season by the Cougars, but just weren't able to sustain the lead. Just kind of one of those things where it was back and forth for a minute, trading punches, and then Bishop Kenny just pulled away. Wakulla falls to Rains 63-7. Tough loss for the War Eagles on the road against the number one ranked team in Class 3A, the Rains Vikings. And really, for Wakulla, they just weren't really able to get anything going during the game as Reigns pulled out to a very early dominating first half lead and just kind of coasted the rest of the way. Meanwhile, back in the capital city, Lincoln handles business against Fleming Island 16-13 and did just enough to get the job done defensively. Coach, I think we lost your sound. But yeah, Trojan defense really stepped up big in this one. Just really frustrating Fleming. There you go. Got you.
Okay. Yeah, it was the Trojans were up 16-0 and just held on. It was just they started off like they were gonna run them out of the stadium, and all of a sudden, I think the only thing they did in the second half was kick a field goal, and Fleming Island just slowly started knocking the score down. They didn't quite get it. They had a chance to really take the lead, and I think they went for a fake kick or something. Didn't make it, and it was the end of the game.
Yeah, it was a wild kind of showcase, and Lincoln jumped out to a quick start. Cabron Paul ran back the opening kickoff, which, I mean, he's got it going on. He's got to be in your conversation for kind of special teams player of the year here in the Big Bend, but because that's not the first time he's done something like that. But they hung on, like you said, Coach. Defense, what's the old adage? Winning championships. So far, they're getting pretty far off of it. So we'll see how they keep going. They hung on for dear life. But I think it shows you how good this region was. And a lot of people kind of slept on some of these second-tier teams. But when you look at the top 5 for this region, obviously we know about Niceville, Mosley, Lincoln, right? But Ponte Vedra gave Niceville all they could handle, which we know, coached by an old friend, Coach Price out there. Then over on the other side, I know they're not seeded 5th, but I would say Fleming Island's probably your 5th best team in this region. They gave Lincoln all they can handle, tightened up defensively. That quarterback is super dangerous. And the last play of the Fleming Island possession, of course, they got all the way down to the goal line. You've got like 90 seconds left. On 3rd down, they spread him out, go 4 wide, and Lincoln goes man across the board, and they shut it down. They had the linebackers skating around. I think it was Nick Zabisky that came up with the game-clinching interception, but they were on the 3. It was 1st and goal on the 3. Fleming was going in. A field goal would have forced overtime. Touchdown probably would have won it because there's only about a minute to go on the other side, but the defense stood up and said, not today. Clinched it again. Fantastic for them. They held a really explosive offense only to 13 points, and that's why they're playing in the regional final.
Trojan Magic. Trojan Magic. They have they really do have an elite defense over at Lincoln, and it really showed when you can go man, especially when you need to. That says a lot about the defenders you have on your team. So Lincoln advances to the next round, and they will get another dose of Niceville out in Niceville, and that's going to be another great matchup. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's keep it rolling here. Madison County, a huge win over Blountstown, 43-6, and Boot Hill. There's definitely something special out there. Madison County really jumped out early and just kind of cruised to I would say, I think there was if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a running clock. Almost was a score away from having a running clock there in the second half. But Cowboys moving on to the next round. Lafayette falls to Hawthorne 15-44, ending the Hornet season. Great effort by Coach Edwards and his group this year. They really turned it on there in the second half, but they will bow out in the second round against Hawthorne. Jefferson County shuts the door on their season by Dixie County, a big winner, 41-32 over the Tigers. Port St. Joe falls to Wildwood, and a little bit of a surprise to me, as I expected the Sharks to or at least take advantage of home field advantage, but the Wildcats came in with other plans in mind as they take it over the Tiger Sharks 21-14. And then Fort Meade downs Franklin County 33-14, and that will do it for most of our teams in the rural invitational tournament and in the rural classification. And I there were a couple of surprises here. I was definitely surprised by Port St. Joe But I also thought that Bluntstown and Madison would have been a little bit closer as well.
Yeah, you saw some of these teams. A lot of these teams are overmatched. And you kind of look at the scores, like Wakulla playing the Vikings of Reigns, and we had a couple of teams down here with Hawthorne. I watched the game with Hawthorne and Lafayette, and it really never you had no doubt that they were the better football team, and and you'd be surprised because Lafayette was playing so well. They beat some good teams along the way, but they face a team similar, I think, similar to Madison. They've been in the finals for 2 or 3 times, the finals a couple of times, won the championship, and it was just difficult for them. They couldn't move the ball. They struggled the whole game. Defense kind of shut them down. They got some scores late. It really wasn't that close.
Yeah, and you see a little bit of chaos here in the rural. It's just hot teams playing hot. Wildwood with a strong finish, Dixie with a strong finish, and then they just keep on surging. And you see other teams like Williston and even Trenton down in, I know, not necessarily in our area, but you see all these teams with these weird seeds in the rural classification when you compare them to kind of seeding throughout, and they're just kind of getting hot at the right time. And Madison, they lit the 2019 championship game flame once again versus Bluntstown. I think it was last time they played in the championship? It was like 70-35 or 70-42, something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't get that many points, but the margin of victory right around the same for the last time they clashed here in the Big Bend that deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into round number 3. We got previews on deck.
Mark, can we stop some for a minute?
Yeah.
What was the outcome about picks? I was curious.
Oh, you got to talk to the man.
No, I just don't want to ask. I didn't see him up there.
I don't have him.
So, Coach, you got it last week. I got to total them up, so that's on me. They'll be good to go for next week, I promise.
I just want to know.
Coach got the first week of the playoffs. I think Mark got the second week of the playoffs. So we're going into round 3. We'll see. So, but Coach definitely got the first one. Mark was strong here in that we all took a lot of L's last week. So it's kind of survival of I want to say the fittest, but just the last man standing maybe is more accurate.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into this clash of the Titans right here. Class 2A, Gadsden County 11-1, hosting Bowles 10-1 out of Jacksonville. And honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm rocking with the Jags on this one. I think if they play to the level that they're able to play, they really turn the running game loose, and that offensive line plays consistent like they're known for playing. Man, this team can do anything because they can spread that ball around whoever playmaker that they can get the ball into the hands of. This is a very senior-heavy team. So these guys have experience. Quite a few of them have been at this level before, playing in the regional championship. And I think this team is just hungry. I think they want to do something that's never been done before, and I think they're knocking on the door. But defensively, they will have to be disciplined. Just a lot of the mistakes, the penalties, they have to cut down on that because Bowles, they do 2 things very well. Number one, they don't turn the ball over too much. And then they're not very mistake prone. This is a very disciplined team that also riding on a lot of legacy and a lot of history. So I expect to see a close game, but I also think that Gadsden County will take it in this one.
Yeah, Mark, from what I've seen of Gadsden County doing this season, I watched Bowles last week. I don't know if they can stand up to what the Jaguars bring. They're very strong. They can run the ball, throw it if they have to. Solid defense front in the secondary. I think this is a bad matchup for the Bowles. I don't want to seem like I'm a homer because they in the area, but I think they should take this one. I just don't see it. I may be wrong, but I don't see Bowles. I think it'll be at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm with Gadsden County on this one as well. Having said that, this is the kind of team that could get Gaston. Of course, they have a lot of individual talent here in the secondary. So I'm really looking for the Gadsden secondary to step up, do some big time things. I know they've got some dogs back there, but if there's a team, because they can score so rapidly in the passing game, especially the big tight end in the middle that Bulls has, I think if somebody's going to give them trouble, this is the style based on kind of XYZ that you see the kind of worst matchup for Gaston. Having said that, I mean, Gaston's they got a lot of good matchups. So I'm with the Jags on this one, and I firmly believe Gaston's going to go through, get us to the Final Four, which I think really all our teams here that we have remaining really have strong cases. But I'm with Gaston on this one. The line is still too big and bad. I love playmakers, both sides of the ball here for the Jags.
All right, moving on. Lincoln out at Niceville, another rematch. And man, the Trojans, this is going to be really a tale of did you do your homework? And I think for Lincoln, especially the Trojans defense, I think they will probably have had a great opportunity to look at a lot of film, go back, correct some mistakes that they made out in Niceville in the first half, especially so they don't have to play from behind the eight ball. And I think honestly, excuse me, if you can get Sims going and into a rhythm, I definitely think Lincoln has a great opportunity here to be able to not only pull off the road win, but also secure another regional championship. I think a lot of it will come down to basically how is that defensive front going to play, and of course the Lincoln secondary. If they can contain Niceville and keep kind of putting themselves in a situation where they're in a bend but don't break kind of scenario, I definitely like Lincoln's chances in this one. Give me the Trojans.
Wow.
I'm gonna say it's close though too. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close one.
It's just a coin flip between these two teams. They played each other. The Niceville in the first game got to a big lead, and Lincoln came back, made the game real close. This is a tough one. This is because these two teams are pretty even. And one thing I like about Lincoln is their defense. If they can keep the score down, not a 42-30, 40-38, but like a 14-17 game, I think they can win it. Because I like the special teams on the Trojans. I guess I'm gonna go with you, Mark. I'm going with the Trojans, even though Niceville probably is the favorite.
Yeah, this would be tough. I think because they're home, they would be the favorite. I know seeding wise, obviously they're the number one seed, right? But looking beyond that. But yeah, this reminds me of earlier in the week when I was watching the movie Gladiator, because I've already seen this movie before, gentlemen, and I feel like the Trojans are going to change the ending on us here, coming away with the victory. So I'm with Lincoln on this one. I think Niceville is less balanced than what they have been in the past. I think they're more run heavy. And I think if you're Lincoln, you've got two great takeaways. The second half, except for that, final drive, they showcase that they could shut Niceville down. And on the back end, on the flip side, in the second half, they showed they could score against this team. So I think being able to put that together, like I said, the defense is only getting better here, it seems, down the stretch here in the playoffs. So I think they got just enough to take care of business on the road and onward here to the Final Four for Lincoln.
All right, rounding it out for our abbreviated Thanksgiving Extra Point podcast. Madison County 8-3 taking on Union County 10-1. And man, I really struggle with this one because I've had a chance to kind of go back and watch Union a little bit. They do a lot of things similar to that Madison does, and I think for the Cowboys, they'll have to break out of being one-dimensional and kind of get into an area where they can keep the Union County defense honest. Of course, Madison County got a great dual threat quarterback where they can really get him out in space, move the ball up and down the field. I think the difference maker on this one is just going to be that it's at Boot Hill. So I'm going to roll with the Cowboys on this one. And I do think that if they can very, very much so, I think defensively, if they can kind of keep things in front of them, especially with Union County, they do a lot of things too with their quarterback, especially in their ground game. But I do like Madison County's chances here, but I think the Cowboys will take it, although in a close one. Give me the Cowboys 21-20.
It is so difficult to go against the Madison Cowboys at home. It's a rare thing for them to lose there. I don't see Union County breaking that, and I'm going with the Cowboys also, Mark.
All right,
Come on,
everybody. Well, I mean, I don't want to get left at the station here. So I organically think Madison's coming away with this one. They got a mean sophomore running back. Does Union County Simmons, I think his name is. He's going to be a beast. But yeah, I think kind of a run first offense is something that Madison's seen, not only from themselves, but based on kind of the opposition that they've kind of put before them and seeing this kind of way to navigate before. So I think it's enough here with that front seven, which I like, that intensity on defense, and back end, which will surprise you. So, of course, with the offense, with Crumity and the boys there, I'm with Madison as well. I think just enough, but it may be a little tighter than what you've seen in the past as we get to kind of this stage, because for the Rural Ball, this is the Final Four.
Yeah.
Shot at a championship first week of December in the old Central Florida villages. So Madison County, our lone torch holder, if you will, kind of keeping the flame lit down here in these lower classifications.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line to be able to say that if you win this one, you get a ticket to the ship. So Madison County definitely will be playing for a little bit more, especially considering that for this particular round, they've done a lot, I think, to really kind of separate themselves. You look at their regular season schedule, and it really kind of lifted them into an area where they were definitely going to be battle tested and ready for the playoffs. But this will be one of their biggest matchups yet. So we'll see how it goes down. We're going to be in Gadsden County on Friday calling the Gadsden County Bowls game. So hopefully everybody will log on to the NFHS network, catch us there. And then, of course, we'll have Overtime, our scoreboard football show after the games, see how everybody in North Florida region fared. But for this week, we hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving. It's been really just been a really fun time here. But for my tag team partners, Coach Cofield, Andrew Jupe, I'm Mark Adams, and this is the Xtra Point podcast, 4 Quarters Online. We'll catch everybody next week. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.